469. Joseph Stone is right over the hill, break.
We're in position.
What are you worried?
I know, we're not really good at period correct stuff. We did our best. Joseph Stalin, time to die for your crimes against humanity. Communism was never the answer. Hey kid, catch. Great shot, kid. Wait a second. That's not Joseph Stalin. That's incarcerated for rape porn star Ron Jeremy. I guess that's good that he's dead. Who'd I save?
Meine Arbeit für Richtiges. Ob du glaubst, dass ich fleißig gewesen bin, dass ich gearbeitet habe, mich in diesen Jahren für dich eingesetzt habe.
Yeah. I can't wear that. Your grandpappy loved it. Now you're going to love it. Right here, we have the M1 Carbine. But even better, this is not just a reproduction from Fulton Armory. In almost every way, the Fulton Armory M1 Carbine actually outperforms original M1 and M2 carbines. So today, we're going to be taking a look at the upgraded M1 Carbine from Fulton Armory that allows mounting of either any type of muzzle device, such as a suppressor, and of course, different types of optics. I hope you guys will stay tuned as we talk about this amazingly classic firearm from World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, probably every war ever, and maybe it's something that will fit into your self-defense scenario. So let's talk about it from a civilian perspective. And guys, I got a secret for you. If you don't know, this content is free. Now, you pay for internet, you don't pay for this content. We like to keep it that way, but it's kept that way because of our sponsors. Now, the biggest sponsor of the channel is, of course, Primary Arms. Whether you want to get an Aimpoint H2 or T2, or you want to get, or if you want to get their excellent HTX1 American-made pistol optics, they got every option for you, and we absolutely love them. You know what? They support the channel for a long time. They've kept this content free. So why don't you go ahead and give them an email and say, you know what, Primary Arms, I'm proud of you. I don't think people hear that enough. Did you hear that enough from your dad growing up?
I was lucky. Yeah, I did.
And look at Preston. He's well adjusted. Look at him. He's wearing a hunting sweatshirt. He lifts weights. How much you bench right now?
325.
That's a man right there. About 315. So guys, the point is, go ahead and love them. Of course, if you are looking for some interesting options, or if you want to be more American, we have Henry repeating arms. So here's the cool thing about them, guys. I've been shooting guns for a long time, and as cool as every modern gun is, I love going back to a classic. I love a good old lever action rifle. They're just so much fun, and you know what? It's fun to take the kids out. So go ahead and check them out. Give them a ton of love. But more importantly, guys, go check out henrythumb.com. We can't talk about it here. Now, of course, if you want to get better at shooting, we recommend dry fire. Mantis turn your weapon into a dry fire machine. So give them tons of love. All my Mantis systems have been stolen. Here's Connor trying one out, and he's having a good time, looking a little retarded, but he's doing great. Guys, all ammunition is sponsored for by AAC, but in this case, we did purchase a little bit of the ammo through Fulton Armory, so a big thank you to them. With all that being said, let's get into it. One quick disclosure, guys. I am still on the neck pain train, so if you don't know, I broke my neck in the military on an airborne jump, and as a result, I still do have an impingement on these vocal cords. Still not sure if I'm RFK mode forever now. It's a teeny bit better, but bear with me as my voice struggles. It's life. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, guys, if you're not familiar with the M1 Carbine, they are just really cool rifles. What's so great about them is that they're lightweight. It's really hard to describe how handy of a rifle the M1 Carbine is until you hold it. And that's from somebody who's used a lot of different firearms throughout my time. At this point, I think I've about fired every firearm that's been in existence, with the exception of a lot of ones pre-1900. That's more of Ian McCullen's type thing. But it's very handy, and it's a very interesting caliber. So if you're not familiar, the M1 Carbine is chambered in .30 carbine. It's a straight-walled case. It's low pressure, but it has okay performance. So during World War II when these were used, it was very famous in the fact that it wasn't the power of the .30-06, of course. That was far more powerful than the .30 carbine, but it was about twice as powerful as what you'd see from .45 ACP. So compared to the Thompson, it did offer more stopping power in certain aspects. Sure, some people will argue with me on that, but the fact of the matter states that this outranged the .45, as well as doing many other things better, and it's very low recoil. Now, these rounds are harder to get nowadays, but there might be a lot of you out there whose grandparents or parents stockpiled a ton of this. There is a lot of .30 carbine out in circulation right now. And in addition to that, for a lot of my people in band states, M1 carbines can be fairly easy to get despite those bans, and it can be easy to get what you need. These come in either 30, 15, or 10 round magazines for my band states, unfortunately. I'm sorry guys, fight the good fight, we're with you. But understand that this is a very cool carbine. It has long been said that this was the first personal defense rifle, because it's not a submachine gun, it's not a rifle, so it definitely fills that PDW role. They're very neat, very awesome. Let's go ahead, let's put it to the test as we take this well-known and well-loved, affectionately called little baby Garand. Let's see how it does. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take the M1 Carbine right here through a couple of different drills. The first drill that we're going to show is going to be the bill drill. This is our standard for the 6 rounds at 7 yards in under about 3 seconds. That's a pretty good time, or under 2 seconds for the rifle. This is good because oftentimes it takes more than one round to put something to the ground, or as we like to say, lives are expensive, ammunition is cheap. Give them a couple. So let's go ahead and start with this. We do have reduced size A zone here, so that just means I'm hopefully doing better. Don't smile. Okay, we'll start safety on. A little safety right there. Okay,
Shoot right. Stand by.
time. Oh, it was too quiet. Well, let's go take a look at the shots right here. We do have one shot from shooting around Jeremy there, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. These two right here, cloverleaf through each other. It's a good, group right there. All right, let's give this another shot. Yeah, hold it up to the. Yeah, there we go. Hold it up to that suppressor.
Shooter ready. Stand by. 1, 3.
That felt good. That felt quick. You want to try it, buddy?
Love to.
Preston, what have you said about this carbine, the vibiest build we have?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. This thing is.
This is a children's show.
Sick as
Stop swearing.
Absolutely.
What are you going to do when you have kids?
Teach them bad words.
Shoot your hands down the course fire.
Yep.
Stand by. Good
Oh,
shooting,
that
buddy.
trigger's weird.
173. Excellent, excellent. How'd that feel to you?
Well, trigger's a bit stiffer than I'm used to.
Sure.
But this thing's dope.
It's super fun. Go ahead and take a few shots, buddy. So much fun.
It's a little gassy. But boy,
Yeah.
something fun.
So one thing that we could say about the M1 Carbine that we should note right here is that this tappet system that it used, we'll talk more about it in the black screen. This was not built to be suppressed originally. However, at the marvels of modern engineering, we do have a suppressed M1 Carbine. Fulton Armory does thread their barrels. It's an odd thread pitch. I'll have to put it down here at the bottom of the screen. So you do need an adapter. And more importantly, because the threads are so deep on this, you actually do need a little jam nut in there, or a little spacer, to ensure you get the proper spacing on that thread, because it has so much threading. We have an RD suppressor on here, and it's just on a hub mount. So pretty good. Definitely a higher flow through can is going to be better. We had a dead air, nothing against dead air, but we had a dead air on here earlier, and the back pressure was not good. So make sure that you're choosing correctly for your suppressors. Now, we're going to go ahead, we're going to do a quick transition right here. So only transition we support here. And let's go ahead, we'll start up. Let me know when you're ready. 0.45. Nice, felt good. We're cleaning all these. I should also point out that Preston's build drill is also clean. So should be noted. Very good shooting, buddy.
Hit it.
So the gun is very low recoil. It's odd. So with the M1 Carbine, you have a very interesting caliber. So we have 30 carbine right here. We have these 30 round mags, and as you can see, it is 110 grains. It is traveling approximately about 18 to 1900 feet per second. So it definitely falls into a very weird category of speed. The resultant recoil impulse from the M1 Carbine it's a little bit more than an AR, but in many ways it's more pleasant. It's hard to explain, but it's a very quiet rifle, and you can see every time that I fire it, kind of has that little ting ting ting. I always thought that was kind of lame in Band of Brothers until I'm shooting one now, and I'm like, I was wrong, dude. It actually does make that exact noise. So let's do a little bit of recoil right here. Let's show you guys what that looks like. So when I get behind that gun right there, and you can see atmospherics as well, but we are getting a good amount of gas blowback. This gun just wasn't exactly designed for it. We'd probably do a slightly higher flow rate suppressor than we have on here right now, but you can see the recoil is fairly minimal. More than AR, but again, very comfortable. But more importantly, because it's so quiet, I find it very pleasant to shoot this with a suppressor. No, you're I'm sure people will get mad at me about that, but it's a very easy gun to tote around, to lug around. And indeed, you've seen a lot of vets be a big fan of the M1 Carbine and the M2 Carbine just due to how handy it was, and they've been used in combat very well. Now, there are, of course, reports of 30 Carbine being not so good against different enemies. However, overall, the performance has been more than adequate. So just understand there's always caveats using kind of an older caliber, and you can find better rounds out there, just as a quick note. But we've done a little bit of shooting. Let's go ahead and let's take it out to range. These are noted to be about 300-ish yard guns. So we have a target at 350. Let's see how we do. So the M1 Carbine is about a 300-yard gun, or that's what it's kind of ascribed to be. Now, it can, of course, push further than that. You definitely run into a few issues. The Fulton Armory guns are incredibly accurate. This gun's been printing about 1.2 to 1.3 MOA. We're going to shoot out at 350. We're seeing a lot of drop at 350, so I'm really having to elevate a lot here. But we'll give it a shot here. LOL. Left edge. Left edge. Where was that one?
Your right edge on that one.
Cool. Whew. That's definitely not the easiest at that range with the M1 Carbine. I would say about 200 to 300. The amount of energy loss at past 300 is a good amount. So understand the limitations of your gun in 30 carbine. And it does look really short here on the ranch, but it should be noted that 350 is a good amount of range. So especially for those folks in cities, that type of stuff, the M1 Carbine is wonderful with the ranges that it can be shot at. Now, we've done a good amount of just like technical shooting. We're going to finish out with a little competition between me, camera guy, and the ranching end. We're going to see how our times are, just so you guys can see it in action. Let's give it a shot. Okay, quick little rundown of our drill from right here. It's going to be 3 on the blue target right here. We're going to enter the hallway. We have 2 targets, 2 rounds per, 2 rounds on this guy, 2 rounds on this guy. Brace on the wall. We have targets out at 80. We're going to deliver 2 rounds to the leftmost target at 80 yards. That'll be the end of the drill. Pretty simple, but an easy and comprehensive test of the M1 Carbine's abilities.
You ready? Yep. Stand by. It was like a 10-9.
It's like a,
Kept rolling.
like 10, like we'll say 10-5, 10-6. That's what I saw when I looked over at the last shot.
Yeah, whatever you want to tell yourself.
Okay, so about in the 10s for that one. Hard to pick up. Let's have Preston go next.
Good to go.
Stand by. impact. Good, 11-2-3. Good shooting, boss. Really good shooting.
Appreciate it.
Spy Kids glasses, bro.
All right. Hey. He doesn't get the drip, all right? He doesn't get the drip.
Okay, shooting your on the course fire.
I hope so.
You're left-handed, you suck. Semi. Impact. 11-2-3. Oh, he tied with you. Okay, we're over, and Sawyer and Preston have tied. Literally, I don't know how that happened, and I'm the winner. Everybody else has shot a lot more. So, am I really the winner? Okay, let's go ahead. Let's break it down black screen style, full autism. Let's get to it. So we've done a lot of shooting at this point. Now let's do a lot of talking as we funnel my autism into intricate detail when it comes to the M3 Scout Carbine. So we say M3, this is Fulton Armory's kind of own designation, as obviously the M3 Carbine was the infrared scope, old school M1, M2 carbine that you used to see. But for all intents and purposes, this is an M1 carbine that has been updated to Fulton Armory's standards. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. We're going to be talking mostly about, is the M3 carbine still a viable weapon for civilians in today's world? With all the different weapons that you have access to, does this make sense? And here's what I'll say for the most part. If you're in a state where you have a lot of restrictions on the type of firearm that you can own, it might be advantageous to have something like an M1 carbine, as it's more of a featureless design, of course, albeit without the 30-round magazines. I'm sorry to those of you who live in those banned states. Now, certain states do ban the M1 carbine or any derivatives thereof by name, so that's not really going to apply to you. For everybody else, I think that there's something interesting and compelling when it comes to the M1 carbine, the M3 Scout carbine. So let's go ahead, let's delve into it as we really do the deep dive on the M3 Scout carbine. Now, obviously my voice is still a little shot, guys. Not much we can do about it. We have a laryngeal vocal nerve impingement from my breaking my neck in the military. That's life right there. But we think it's getting better. Is it getting better, Sawyer?
It seems a lot better.
We'll see. I kind of did enjoy the RFK voice. Man, poor Kennedys. Have they not been cursed or what? So let's delve into it. If you're not familiar with the M1 carbine, let's go ahead and do a very brief little history. Today's video is not at all about the original M1 carbine, nor the history thereof. That'll be a separate video, but it's going to be good for context to understand what it is. The thing you have to understand is going into World War II, obviously we understood that tensions were rising. At the time, rear echelon troops were primarily issued the M1911, a great pistol, a pistol we all know and love that single-handedly won World War II. Obviously, it didn't. But they found that the 1911 was really ill-suited to the rigors of war in case of paratroopers parachuting in, to the new German blitzkrieg if they were able to break lines. These rear echelon troops, or indeed soldiers who had to carry things that precluded them from carrying a full M1 rifle, such as mortarmen, radiomen, etc., they just needed something right in the middle. And the Thompson is a great gun. However, the Thompson's also a very heavy gun and also has a reduced range. So after many trials and tribulations, we eventually got the M1 carbine, partially designed by a convict with his gas system. It's a very interesting story, and I would highly recommend reading into it because it is very cool. But what's even more interesting about the M1 carbine is the fact that this gun kind of falls into a really weird area. That is, the 30 carbine that it uses is a very interesting cartridge because we have a straight-walled case, we have a 110 grain projectile traveling just a smidge under 2,000 feet per second. Now, that's not, for my AR-15 guys, that's obviously not that fast, but it definitely does fall into the level of a 44 Magnum from a revolver or a 357 Magnum from a rifle. So you do have quite a bit of power behind it. And indeed, once the M1 carbine was put into service, there was a lot of praise given to several things about it. Mostly the handiness. It's a very lightweight, very maneuverable rifle. They praise the reliability at the time. You have to understand that. At the time, reliability doesn't mean what it means today. And of course, they were well pleased with the stopping power. Later on in history, in the Korean War, you saw a lot of accounts of .30 carbine not being powerful enough, a lot of this was attributed to soldiers who were unused to full auto fire. And indeed, a lot of these soldiers who complained about the lethality of .30 carbine also would typically run low on ammo, which seems to indicate that perhaps they were firing in long bursts on their M2 carbine and weren't really getting good precision hits. Everything that we've seen has shown that the M1 carbine has excellent penetration. In fact, Lucky Gunner did a very good test on it, and very good stopping power, with a full 95% of impacts within 50 meters being known to be lethal to the enemy. Of any rifle that has been used by the United States military, the M1 M2 carbine definitely rank really high up there in terms of the amount of battle, the amount of souls taken that it has seen. It has been used from World War II through the Pacific, the European theater, through the Korean War, through the Vietnam War, by Cuban rebels, by South Americans. You see this everywhere, all the way through the Middle East, and even today, you see it just everywhere. Because of any rifle made during World War II, we made over 6 million of these. It's a very interesting concept. But I can go on and on about the history of the M1 and M2 and M3 carbine, but that's not the point of today's video. Today, we're gonna be talking about the Fulton Armory M3 Scout carbine. So let's go ahead and delve into it. Now, the most important thing to talk about when it comes to this is going to be the fact that this is a short stroke piston operated weapon. In fact, the gas system is more of a tappet type system that was designed by old Carbine Williams himself. Now, he didn't have too much to do with the M1 carbine outside of that, but we definitely do have to give it to him for making a simplified, lightweight design. The M1 carbine and the M3 is just a smidge over 5 pounds, which really shows you how light and easy it was to maneuver this rifle. This particular one has an 18-inch barrel, which is really pushing the .30 carbine, and the .30 carbine has great performance out of it. Now, let's talk about some of the really important things here. Of any M1 carbine that you've seen, the M1 carbine has long been sullied. Its fine name has been sullied by a lot of very low-quality civilian reproductions, and the fact that a lot of the M1 carbines that are out in the civilian world are clapped out weapons that have been, fired ad nauseum since World War II. Everything's worn on them. So when you get the Fulton Armory, you get a truly good piece of engineering. And of any M1 carbine that is made, the Fulton Armory is the closest to USGI specs. They fit all USGI parts, and in addition to that, they typically exceed the quality of USGI original made carbines in fit, finish, quality control, and in the quality of steel that is used. So there's a lot to be said about how good of a job they do. Let's talk about 3 components that matter the most when it comes to any weapon system. Talk about how those work together. So that is going to be the receiver, the bolt, and the barrel. So first off, the receiver is 4140, and it is made precisely to USGI specs, but due to the quality control and the fact that we're not fighting a world war, the quality control is even better from Fulton Armory. Now, we move over to the bolt. Now, as you can see, we have the round bolt of the M2 carbine, as opposed to the flat bolt that was typically seen on the M1. We'll pop up little photos right here. This is important because the round bolt was known not to have as many breakages, and for really fast fire, the rounded bolt actually adds a little bit more mass that helps control the cyclic rate of the carbine. All this comes together to make for a very soft firing weapon. Now, we add to that the brand new Criterion made barrel. If you're unfamiliar with Criterion, they make phenomenal AR-15 barrels, phenomenal Garand barrels, and of course, phenomenal carbine barrels. But more importantly, both the barrel chamber is all chrome lined without any loss of accuracy. The bolt is specifically hand lapped to fit into the receiver so that you have very tightly controlled machine and QC processes that makes the receiver, bolt, and barrel fit together in a way that probably has never been seen up until Fulton Armory made them. Now, of course, you have custom shops that make really good carbines, but Fulton Armory has always straddled the line on custom shop and like full-on line assembly, but the difference being that it's a master gunsmith who puts these together, and gosh, are they nice, but the price also reflects it. I understand that they are expensive. So let's go ahead, let's delve into this. The one thing we want to say is the fitment of the receiver, bolt, and barrel together make this to be an exceptionally accurate weapon. The carbine is always noted to be okay, marginal, But with all these together, these guns are regularly printing 1.5, 1.3 MOA with good ammo. So there's a lot to be said about that. Let's go ahead and let's delve into it. Let's go ahead and let's start at the muzzle and work our way down about what I think is good, how we have our setup, and how it applies to a civilian personal defense weapon. I say personal defense weapon because this obviously isn't quite, well, it is a rifle, but it's not what you consider a battle rifle. It is a smaller cartridge. It's not a submachine gun because, well, it doesn't fire at pistol caliber. Specifically, this is designed as a rifle caliber. And it's not exactly what you'd call an assault rifle. It wasn't typically selective fire until later on. It's not really in an intermediate cartridge. It really falls into that weird in-between zone, which is why a lot of people to this day still kind of classify it kind of as a personal defense weapon, and I tend to agree with them. Let's go ahead and let's move down this. So first off, on the end here, we do have a hub-compatible suppressor. This is an RD suppressor right here. We use them on a lot of our guns because the performance is good, the flow rate is high, and they do fairly well, and we use them on a variety of weapons. Now, in this case, this one is hub compatible, and we do have a hub adapter that fits to the very odd thread pitch of the M3 Scout carbine. So we'll talk about that for a moment. So it is a 9/16 by 24. Now, a lot of questions have been asked. Why is it not 5/8 by 24, the typical thread pitch that you see for a 30 caliber weapon? The reason for that is the barrel, as you can see, is quite thin on the M1 Carbine. Because of that, they had to go with a different thread pitch. Luckily, adapters are easy to get, but just understand. Now, if you can see as well, the threads on the M3 Scout Carbine are quite deep. So on many adapters, like we have on this hub adapter right here, you do need a little jam nut or a kind of extender to make sure that you can thread it all the way down against the shoulder. Otherwise, you are not going to get that good concentricity that you need for your suppressor. So make sure you get something there because those threads are just very, very deep. With the suppressor on there, the M1 Carbine wasn't exactly meant to be suppressed. Wasn't as nearly a common technology back then as it is now. But despite that, this weapon has been suppressing extremely, extremely well. Now, we fired all different types of designs on it, from more traditional baffle designs to high flow rate to really high flow rate like the CAT and SOF suppressors. But definitely a higher flow rate does better. And because the M1 Carbine round is fairly low pressure comparatively, you get a really, really pleasant sound signature when it's fired. Sorry, when we were shooting this, how nice was it?
This one is definitely camera guy approved.
I shot the majority of this with just either little foamies in or something like that because it really did not require that much hearing protection to be extremely pleasant. With ear pro on, you're gonna have a very good time. And that's one of my first points that I wanna make for civilian usage. Is with the suppressor on this, if you're running without ear pro, it really isn't bad. You don't get nearly the crack and whip that you get from an AR-15. And of course, you have reduced ballistics, reduced range. But for those of you in suburbia or in the city, it makes good sense to not need a 700-yard rifle, while as a 300 to 350-yard rifle will definitely do the job for you. Again, pick the right tool for the job. Now, moving down to the barrel. Obviously, we've already mentioned that it's a Criterion barrel, extremely well made. You saw a shootout the 350. That's about kind of the limit of what you're getting from the M1 Carbine, not because the round can't go further. You can obviously arc this guy and its little rainbow arc even further. But the carbine's just somewhat anemic compared to a lot of the rounds, and it's not meant for long range. So you're typically just kind of firing that rainbow arc even further, and it's just harder to hit those farther targets. So definitely 300 to 350 is what you're seeing. And indeed, this is noted in the United States Army manuals as well, with most of the kills that we talked about encountered under 100, but especially under 50 yards with the M1 Carbine personal defense weapon. Now, from there, I know you guys are going to ask light. So we have an older Surefire light right here. We have a 6P, the older Surefire barrel mounts for the AR-15s, and those fit perfectly on here. Obviously, that's going to affect barrel harmonics a little bit, but in my opinion, it hasn't affected it enough to make any difference for me because I'm making impacts at 300, no problem. 200, easy as pie. And 100, I don't have to think about it. The gun does it itself. God, guys, just guides that bullet right in. So I'm not nearly as worried for those of you guys who are wondering. a lot of people have asked why don't I just mount it back to the Picatinny, because I'm getting a lot more shadow with my light. Obviously I could push this forward and get it right under the suppressor, but again, the more weight I'm kind of putting out there, the less handy of a weapon it gets. This is a good in-between, and it works well for me, and it looks cool as hell. Was that cope?
You know, it could be.
Damn. Now, except for the main parts that we talked about, Fulton Armory uses a ton of USGI parts. Nice thing about the M1 Carbine, tons of parts everywhere. We've made a bajillion of these like we talked about. Now, the front sight is brand new and made. It is full height. A lot of these were cut down for the older flip sights. And that takes us to our rear sight, and we'll talk about this in just a moment. So the rear sight is very nice. If you're not familiar with it, we have windage and obviously range adjustable from 100 out to 300, which is about the distance that you're going to be shooting at with this guy. Now, if you look right here, you can see that we have an Ultimac rail mounted to this, but more importantly, this is the Ultimac rail that specifically is made to mount the aim point T2, T1, H2, H1 as low as possible so that you can actually co-witness your iron sights through the optic. That's really cool. The problem with the M1 Carbine has always been that if you throw an optic on there, the sights are so low that it's hard to be able to get both of them. So this is the best of both worlds. Now, I will say, when you're down at 100 for your peep sight, it's a little tough to see through there. It's still definitely doable. When you're at 300, far easier to look through the optic and see your front sight. Now, obviously, we have unused Picatinny up here. Whatever you might want to put on there, you know, the sky's the limit for you guys. Obviously on ours right here, because we have the pressure pad running back to right here, we taped with a little bit of hockey tape right here. We use goon tape because we like those guys, and that keeps it in place. And when I grip the gun, as you can see right here, my pressure pad is just forward of my thumb, so it's really easy to activate that guy. And that's kind of like a, you know, I see you, you know, don't make me do it. Front barrel band right here, USGI issue. If you're unfamiliar with how to take down the M1 Carbine, it's fairly easy. We're not going to do it because we have so much taped onto this guy right now, but it's a very interesting, easy to take down weapon. Now, very interestingly, the gas system is meant to be sealed. It's not meant to be gotten to cleaned out, typically in your typical armory level duties. Now, because of that, all the ammunition for World War II was non-corrosive. Because of that, this was highly favored in many conflicts. In the Pacific, it was well loved because of the reduced amount of corrosion that they saw compared to M1 Garand and other weapons which used corrosive primers. Little interesting, neat little fact when it comes to the old M1 Carbine right there. Moving back from there, we do have a beautiful Boyd stock that has been finished with boiled linseed oil, which is period correct. But better than that, boiled linseed oil is, of course, going to protect, preserve, and just make your stock nice, dark, and it's going to kind of give it that little matte finish. It's not going to be super reflective or shiny. And I love the combination of wood and metal. Just looks cool. Moving back from there, we got magazines. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to the M1 Carbine magazine. So, first thing we're going to note is that obviously when you think of the M1 Carbine, you think of these little 15 rounders, right? And that's what's typical and what was typically used on the M1 Carbine for a very long time before the introduction of the 30 rounders. So obviously right here, we have the 30 rounders. Now 30 rounders for a long time have had a pretty bad rap. And there's actually a lot of reasons for that, but let's go ahead and let's delve into it. So first off, a lot of the 30 rounders that you were getting back in the day were clapped out, rusted, not doing well. In addition, spring technology has improved quite a bit. If you have an older 30 round magazine for the M1 Carbine, it's not running well, get yourself some Wolf springs, replace it, and you're gonna find that guy's gonna run absolutely wonderfully. And for those of you who are using the KCI mags, that's what I'm using right here. We have the Gen 2 KCI mags. I kind of changed the follower a little bit, but on the Gen 1s, the follower could be problematic. If you switch it to a USGI follower, which fits in there no problem, you're not going to have the issues. Now, with the Gen 2 KCIs, you do have a bolt hold open option, which is really cool. We'll talk about that in a moment. But with these Gen 2 KCIs, these are working really well. Now, let's talk about why 30 rounders had a few issues beyond that. On the M2 Carbine, when it was introduced, it's obviously selective fire. In addition to that, it was made for those larger capacity magazines. Now, the locking mechanism for magazines on the M1 Carbine is quite anemic. So the weight of the 30 rounder was actually a little bit too much, and oftentimes these could simply unlatch and come out. This was solved on the 30 rounders by changing the design of the magazine and the locking mechanism on the M2 carbine. Again, this is all stuff that you can update on your own M1 carbines if you really wanted to. On the original M1 carbine, you can see that we have two nubs right here for the locking latch to work on and to hold it into place. What they did for the M2 carbine was they added a little extra notch right here, and we'll show that with a nice little close-up, so that it can also hold on to an additional nub at the side, specifically the left side of the magazine. So you have 3 contact points on the 30 rounders with that updated latch to ensure that they're going to work well. So if you have an M1 carbine, your 30 rounders just are not working well, that could be one thing to look at. Now, another cool thing that you saw with a lot of the M1, M2 carbines was people would famously jungle tape their mags. So right here, we have 2 30 rounders that are jungle taped together. So all you're doing is you're having one upside down so that when you got one mag in, you blam, blam, blam. And when you switch it, you simply rotate it around, load it in, and then you're back up in the fight. Jungle mags are cool, they're a vibe, but let's talk about a few things about them. Now, I can't take all the credit for this because, very famously, retired Delta Force operator Larry Vickers has done a lot to talk about how to jungle tape mags together. So when I jungle tape mags together like this, first things first, insert the mag in, make sure that you're not impeding the ability of it to lock onto the magazine. But in addition to that, you might find that if you jungle tape 2 metal mags together, especially on older mags like this, where the followers aren't as crazy as like AR-15s, you'll find that the vibrations from one mag can vibrate into the others and can often have these bullets walking out on you. To help counteract that, what you do is you can take like a piece of foam, or in this case, I use cardboard. That's very well known as well. You put a long piece of cardboard between the two and you tape them. That helps dampen a lot of that vibration that you typically would get through the magazines. That's how I jungle tape my mags. Your mileage may vary, but jungle taping mags just always looks cool. Do you agree?
100%.
So, jungle tape your mags, it's cool. It's what the M1 carbine was meant for. And if any gun deserves a jungle tape mag, is definitely these guys right here. Now, we've kind of been fiddling around with the controls. So let's talk a moment to talk about those. First off, magazine release is on the right-hand side. It's a simple button. Now, magazines should fall free, but for my carbine users out there, you probably know that they typically don't fall free. So I definitely have a tendency to take one, dump pouch, rip it out if I'm doing attack reload, and then insert the next one, because when they're fully empty, there's just a little bit of friction on the M1 carbine that can prevent it from falling free. And I'm going to do an action that's always going to be 100% versus relying on something that's 80%. So that is how I handle that. Now, the safety used to be actually different on the M1 carbine. It used to just be a push button safety, but people were getting confused between the two, so they moved to this lever safety. So that's what we have on the M3 Scout carbine. I actually like it quite a bit. And the reason for that is when you have it forward like this right here, that is safe. And then to fire it, you sweep it back. So for me, that's a very quick action. So if I have the gun down or when I have it down, it's quick to get into the action. It's a quick safety. And I like it a lot more than what you typically saw on the M1 Garand. So we have our controls right there. Obviously, trigger is actually quite good. Now, it should be noted, oh my gosh, dude, these Fultons, to be clear, this thing's got like 800 rounds suppressed on it without being cleaned. You hear how nice, dude, it's so nice. Okay, let's go ahead and let's try the trigger out and then we'll talk about that. So try the trigger out. These are simply USGI that are polished up a little bit and cleaned up from Fulton. So press it into it. We have a little bit of a wall, barely anything. We hit our wall, solid 7-pound pull, off the reset right here. There's a reset. Oh, beautiful, beautiful trigger. And I found that this guy is actually pretty quick. It just works wonderfully. Big fan of the trigger, and especially what Fulton Armory has done with the triggers, but even older carbines with USGI triggers work wonderfully. Okay, let's talk about that action. Now, this is the part where, you had soldiers referring to these as baby Garands, because when you look at the action right there, It's a very similar camming action with a rotating bolt. In every way, it does look like a small Garand. Obviously, it's very different in operation, but in terms of what the soldier saw, these were very equivalent to make training easier, to make manual of arms easier. So one thing that we really have to talk about right here is with Fulton Armory and how well they fit these components together. I wish I could explain that you could feel it with me, but there is just no stacking when it comes to these guys. Like, it is the smoothest, not just M1 Carbine, but like the smoothest gun you'll just shoot. And probably my favorite part of the M1 Carbine is you can hear it right here. You hear that little ring as the bolt comes forward. You hear that sound when you're shooting it because it's such a dang quiet weapon. Even without the suppressor, like you hear that very distinctive little ringing noise as that weapon closes. And that's common to every carbine that I fired. I think it's a really interesting little note about it, but it has a very, very distinctive firing sound. Did you hear that when you were filming?
Oh, 100%.
It's crazy. So it is a very cool part about the M1 Carbine. Just phenomenal action. And how well it's gassed, how well they fit everything together. The recoil on these M3s is negligible, especially the fact that we have a light and a suppressor out front. This gun literally does not move, but is one of the handiest guns that I have ever shot. And I've really enjoyed my time on the M3 Scout Carbine to the point where, I mean, hell, I might configure it slightly differently, a little less vibey, a little bit more, I guess, practical, maybe just a newer light. And honestly, this is something that that I would carry with me. It's just that cool, that effective of a gun. I really can see the love for it. When Ian McCullen interviewed Ken Hackathorn, he was I thought he made a really good point. He said, what the AR-15 is for you guys today, it was what the M1 Carbine was to us back in the day. It was a high capacity, lightweight, maneuverable gun, and that was just the gun to have. And that hasn't faded. The M1 Carbine, especially this updated M3 Scout Carbine, is still just a very viable gun in every single way. The 30 Carbine is firing a 110 grain projectile just under 2,000 feet per second. That hits hard. And indeed, in every gel test I've seen, Lucky Gunner has done a ton. We'll actually be doing some gel tests very soon on 30 Carbine. It is a violent round within its envelope of engagement that you see. Now, moving back from here, we of course have our sling right here. So the cool thing about the sling, obviously it's very utilitarian, easy, but it actually wraps around the oiler, which is held in place by the sling. So you can have a little oil back there. Very famously, a lot of people would put carbine belt pouches right here in the back of the stock. I didn't. I might get something made up for a 30 rounder, but I just didn't want that on there. You know, if you were to have the buttstock pouch on here, a jungle tape 30, you know, in here, you've got 60 rounds plus another 30. So you got 90 rounds on you. I mean, that's an easy, handy gun that you can take anywhere with you. Take it backpacking, put it in your car. I don't know, wherever you could take it, it's going to be a good gun to have. So when we kind of come to the end here on the Fulton Armory M3 Scout Carbine, the thing that I'll say is certainly it is outclassed by modern firearms. An AR-15 is just a superbly reliable, superbly accurate with an insanely superb engagement envelope. It is outclassed by those weapons. That being said, if you're somewhere where you're not able to get those, there are bans in place, or you know what, you just don't have a lot of money and you were passed down an M1 Carbine from your grandfather and you got a bunch of ammo and you want to kind of make it a little bit better, there's a lot of good upgrade options. In fact, you can send your old M1 Carbine over to Fulton Armory to be able to get it serviced and get it done. So there's a lot going for you if you are using these weapons to make them so that they can perform to the best of their ability. Guys, thank you so much for watching. This is a buy for me. These are so cool. Usually I don't say buy something, but there's something about the M3 Scout Carbine that is just super cool to me. So get out there, try one out suppressed. It is so cool. And I think you'll fall in love with it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We got a ton coming for you. And of course, don't forget the Patreon. Patreon is always insane, out of control. It's all the stuff I don't want posted. And more importantly, we have game nights which are super fun. So get in there, play a little Battlefield with me and see how bad I am and see how bad Sawyer is. And
It's true.
we're so bad. Bottom of the leaderboard.
100% every time.
Very bad. You know, I don't know. I'm outclassed. I'm outclassed by you guys. I'm not on gamer fuel and just crushing it. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Final thing for you guys is going to be a little bit of dad advice. A little bit of dad advice for you guys is going to be this. Being active is something that's important for your kids to see. So make sure you're staying active. Make sure you're working out. They want a strong father. They want somebody to be able to lead them. So make sure that you show them not just that moral fortitude, not just that mental fortitude, but also show them that physical fortitude. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We are